So let's talk music. I want to start with your track "Geeking" because that is obviously such a big one this year, and I think kind of like career wise for you as well. But yeah. So Jamie Jones launched his new Paradise label with your track "Geeking." What was your first reaction when you found out that info?
Yeah, I'm sure you could like imagine it yourself even. Yeah, I was absolutely ecstatic. I was at that moment I was quite down on my luck and feeling like wanting to give up and whatnot. And once Geekin got signed to Jamie's label, that was just such a surprise. It kind of just it revitalized my whole thing. It just re-energized me for let's go, let's do this again. Because that's kind of like how the music industry works, right? It's really hard for an artist to stay on top for 40
Mm,
years. That's really hard. So sometimes most artists go up and then they go down and find a way to get back up, right? So
mm.
yeah. From that moment, I've been quite energetic about my career, and I'm looking at things very gratefully. Everything, I'm just very happy that it happened. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. Congrats. Um,
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
take me through the process of making the track.
Oof. I mean, Geekin is the product of like probably nine demos that I decided that I was gonna make. I told myself I'm gonna make like 10 more tracks, and then if nothing happens to these 10 tracks, I'm out.
Wow.
I'm out of this scene. And Geekin's one of them. And out of all the tracks, yeah, it does make sense that that's the one that got the attention because I built that track all from like one shots, lead like mostly one shots with, and in the finale of it all, which those one shots I built the drums and all that, and I had this immaculate like it took so probably a week of just dialing in the drums, literally like every volume control you could possibly think of. I was thinking about it, thinking about where I should I put it in the left side of the speaker, should I put it on the right? These kinds of thoughts I was having for a week. Once I had the drum beat going, then I went searching for like low end, and then with low end I started like I layered a little sub kind of bass line, like kind of like hidden. On top of that, I layered a nice kick that I like with another nice kick that I like, and EQ'd them together. So we already started with like a lot of low end coming into it, which is the reason. I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons why this record's so great. It's because it's such a punchy, clean low end mixed
Mm.
with like very clean and precise drums. It makes sense that people dig it. But and then the final straw was I went looking through a sample pack that I've had for probably like 8 years now, something like that. It came out a long time ago, and I went looking through these it was like a kind of like a disco inspired like sample pack, and I went through the bass lines and I scanned through all of them, and nothing. I was about to be like, all right, next, let's go looking for something else. And then while I'm looking at towards the end, I've come across the live bass guitar that you hear in Geekim, and it immediately glued into the record that I was already playing, and it was just from that moment on, I was like, I dragged it in, and I mixed it and all that, and from then on, I was like, oh my god. And then from there, once I had this groovy drum bass line kind of thing going, that's when my brain just started like looking, okay, because it's time for vocals. My brain just started saying, I've been fucking around like that. And then from like I basically started saying like the first couple phrases of I've been fucking around for a long time like that. And then I started trying to say it, and then kind of after that I was like, all right, I like this, and then I wrote the rest of the lyrics, and then from then on, yeah, it probably I had like it probably was a month of like road testing it in the car, going back and going like fix this, but like other than that, yeah, that's kind of the process of it, and it was a lot. I'll give you that for sure. I mean, it wasn't easy. That was probably the most attentive I've ever been on a record, and that's why. I mean, I'm not surprised that that it's getting the attention that it's getting. Just because, I mean, I definitely poured my soul into that one.
Um, so are you gonna sort of like take that? Are you gonna like give that attention to every track from now on, or like how has it kind of like influenced your approach, like getting the feedback that you've had from it?
So I'm definitely never gonna stop at like having that attentiveness to a track. But where I'm at today is that as you get bigger, the more demand there is on you, and it does become taxing, especially if you're starting to tour. Which keep in mind, while I was making Geekin, I was grounded. No, I was not touring. So when in this scenario, like and plus on top of that, I'm also noticing that like the industry has become like this very fast paced kind of thing where they expect you like they just want a fast turnaround and whatnot. And so to be able to produce a record like Geekin like constantly, that
Mm,
seems difficult when you're on tour. And I feel like most artists would agree. So and I know that in this industry, most people are producing with like using a lot of samples heavily, looping and whatnot, which totally cool. If the record sounds great, the record sounds great. So I'm currently in a more like pump out a bunch of club records kind of mentality. Right now, I'm just like, which I've already put like pumped out probably like 16 records that I'm holding on to, and like just kind of like listening and making sure I like everything before I start sending those out. But yeah, I'm in a more fast-paced mode. I want to impress in a different kind of style of production where I'm just like on a more sample like kind of approach, right? Where I'm using like it's more like applying a DJ mentality to producing because
yeah.
I've gotten so good at dialing in my sound engineering wise. I've gotten so prolific with it that like now it's so easy for me. I could probably make like a really great record in like 10 minutes now. You know, it comes very quickly to me at this point. And that's probably because I always pushed myself to build records from scratch,
Mm.
from one by one drums and playing it into a keyboard. That kind of doing that for like it's been like 10 years or so doing that. Doing that made me so confident in what I'm doing that now it's okay. I feel like it's okay to just kind of do what everyone else is doing and just kind of go and sample and loop and whatnot because I just know how to do it faster. I just know how to do it fast, you know? So currently I'm in that. But I do love and look forward to those moments where I have like time from I can like let's just say I have a week or two, no touring, nothing on my plate. Uh, those moments I definitely live for because that's when I get to just shut the world down, come here to my studio, and I get to build another record from nothing. That's when I'm like probably most alive in life for sure, most alive. It's such a meditation for me,
Mm.
and so yeah, definitely.
That's cool. I love that. Like still making space for that magic of music making, like you're saying, but then also like being able to keep putting
Yeah,
out music and yeah, like you said, kind of
yeah.
staying at the place you're in now, like, getting these opportunities.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a necessity for me. I mean, yeah, I definitely need to always circle back to those moments of just you making a record from nothing. That's like, I don't know what happens, but maybe it's just an insane amount of like curiosity and adrenaline that kind of takes over just because you don't know what's going to come out of the speakers, but you know that something great's about to happen. So you're like, whoa, let's see what you're just dialed in. You're like, okay, you're excited.
Um, that's cool. And I think you tweeted something along the lines of that geeking changed your life. Like, how have your opportunities? I mean, you kind of already spoke to your outlook a bit, but yeah, how have your sort of opportunities and outlook changed since its release?
I mean, it's just go. It's what it's done is just it's told me it's go time. Now it's time to. Now it's time to double up on
Mm,
what I was doing before. You know, I have to double up on musical responsibilities. It's time to pour my attention into what's next. Don't get stale. You know, like what you've gotten this far, and now we need to think what do we need to do to get to the next stage, right? What's your vision? I'm asking myself at this point, all right, what's my vision, you know? What is my intention, right?
what have you come up with some of those answers?
Yeah, I have actually. Um, I've been I'm just kind of like, I'm in this underground mentality where I'm definitely trying to stay away from any kind of superficiality. And I'm sure that you know there's a lot of that out there. So for me, I'm just trying to keep it simple, and my intentions on a very simple level, which is basically I'm here for dance music. I'm here for dance music. So if if I'm putting out records that doesn't move you, then I'm failing. You know, if it's not moving your waistline, then I'm failing, and it's back to the drawing board. So my intention is timeless dance music. My
Mm,
intention is me passing away and people still playing my records as if they're brand new. That
mm,
is one intention. And I mean, yeah, to be honest with you, I'm an idea man, and they come at me almost too fast. And it gets me a little like discombobulated a little, just because it's like Jesus, you can't do all the ideas that I get. It's too much. So at this point in the game, it seems like it would be smart for me to just start working with a lot more people, because there's just I can't do all the ideas that are coming to me, but I have a lot of ideas for sure. So yeah.
well, I'm sure we're all excited to see what you got cooking up.
Well, I appreciate it.
um, Yeah, and speaking of Jamie, you've played some of the Paradise parties, and I think he's also put out some of your music on Hot Creations and Hot Tracks. So, what does his support mean to you?
Everything, absolutely everything. Honestly, it's having Jamie's support in particular, like from such an early stage. I mean, yeah, that definitely injects a good amount of confidence into an artist that he is on the right track and just keep going. If I didn't receive that kind of support early on, I would have probably been I would have been second guessing myself much more. But since I've always had him kind of like looking, paying attention to, and knowing what I'm doing, and giving me the nod that it's going well. That definitely that definitely gave me a confidence that is kind of needed. It's kind of necessary if you're going to be an artist, because in my opinion, an artist is a visionary. So you got to be confident in your vision.
I love that. Yeah, and in what ways does he inspire you as an artist, producer, person, DJ, etc.?
For the longest time, he was. I mean, let's just look at what he's done for his parties and his labels. Each time he ever even started a record label, it went incredibly well. The branding and the art that he hired to go along with all the music he's signing, you can tell he's just one of those one of a kind of people. You know, I mean, yeah, honestly, I mean, I love the fact that I love how he has an attention to detail like no other. I like look at. I don't know if you've seen, but I mean, I'm kind of mind blown about how he's dressed up his Paradise Ibiza party, like in Amnesia. This year, I'm looking at the videos, and I'm just absolutely in awe with like it looks so cool and so like unique, you know. And another thing that I love about Jamie Jones is that no matter how big he is, which he's huge, he listens to every single person's demo that sends him house music. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't understand how he does it. And that's what I'm saying. He's an alien. And I love him. That's what I have to say about Jamie.
I love it. Okay, and a little more music. You start off the year with your "But None of It Matters" EP on your own. Thanks for sending imprint. The vocal on the title track kind of like reminds me of classic Chicago house a bit. So yeah, what kind of inspired that track and the other two on the EP?
Yeah. So like yeah, for that EP, I was in a mentality where I was getting inspiration from like the kind of like the drum kit kind of, how do I say, like drum machine kind of sequenced tracks where you can tell it's like made by like this computerized thing. It's all syncopated and whatnot. I was kind of, at that moment I was digging that sound, and so I kind of wanted to make that myself, but I don't have that many drum machines, right? So I had to do it in a bizarre way. I had to achieve that sound in a bizarre way. Like I said, I had to make it through just adding one element on top of one another to try and, so that's like, yeah, to try and make it sound like a drum machine. But yeah, I think I achieved it. It sounds like it's like a drum machine gone and then and with a bass line layered on top and like a little cheeky vocal. But yeah, I was kind of like trying to go for a drum machine like sound, and I feel like I achieved it. You know what's funny is I haven't been playing, but none of it matters that often. I think I like sometimes I think I got a little insecure, not sure if it was good enough, but I was tripping. I just recently heard it. I'm like, oh, why haven't I been playing this? This sounds great.
Well, and I think with tracks too, it's like you never know which track is going to take off and like how, I mean, I feel like it's also hard to trace like how other DJs get your songs sometimes, especially like unreleased stuff. So it's like, and on Spotify too, it's like it's kind of impossible to predict like what goes off and stuff. And there's like, I feel like there's so much good music that just kind of either doesn't get heard, doesn't get in the right hands. So it's like you then get to do that now in your sets and get that track out there. I
That's a
really like.
good point. That's so true. Yeah, yeah. You're so right.
Yeah, we don't want those tracks to feel bad about themselves. You know, if like the other track has a million views and that one's like at 1,000 or whatever. You know, the
I
weird
feel that.
world we live in.
Oh, you can say that again.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about one of the unreleased ones that your team sent me, and I got to hear "Mysteries of the House."
Mm.
And now that you're talking about sampling, I feel like I actually was like, I love this sample a minute in that's like da 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 or something. I'm totally singing it wrong, but is that a sample?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
sample is that? I'm just so curious about the sound, like the different sounds on that song.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that is actually like it's a one shot like disco hit, right? From that same sample pack that I used for Geekin, and I just played it in, right? And I just was, like just a quick little riff. It's a very simple riff, but yeah, it's kind of like once again you're going with the disco inspiration, but obviously making it a more suited for like terrace kind of places, the terraces of the world.
Love it. Um, how many other unreleased tracks do you have that you think are gonna come out this year? Like what's sounds like you've been working on a lot of stuff.
I've been working on a lot for sure, and I've sent a few out and have had them get passed on, which I find for me, I'm like, why would anyone pass on this stuff? You know, but it is what it is. You know, I mean, there's so much traffic now for the record label, especially big ones like Hot Creations and whatnot. I mean, I definitely have uh, like a soft spot for all the new people that are trying to break through the industry now. Because oh my God, it must be impossible. It must feel impossible for them.
Mm.
And yeah, I definitely feel for them for sure. And that's what kind of also why I do Thanks for Sending, because Thanks for Sending is my opportunity to build the future. This is like me gathering a roster of the new up and coming, the people that the artists of the future is basically what I'm curating with Thanks for Sending.
I was gonna ask about Thanks for Sending. Yeah, how
Mm.
has it because you launched it about 2 years ago now, right?
Mm-hmm.
As it's grown, as you've been listening to demos, like has your vision with it evolved at all, or like, yeah, how are you kind of feeling about it now and moving forward?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm building. I'm already like booked up for 2023, and already got like releases lined up till like February of 2024, and the releases keep getting better and better, and my vision is for the label is quite similar to the vision for Dateless as well, which is just to achieve timeless dance music. You know, that's definitely the prerogative. And from there, I'm sure that once we get our foot in the door, we'll probably start throwing our events, which will be called Thanks for Coming. And I jumped the gun on that plan, and I already have two giant signs, beautiful signs that says "Thanks for coming." Like I had an artist do the like perfect cursive, a beautiful like kind of style, and I have it in LED. I already got two of them. These cost me like 1,000 each. They're just sitting there, but it's just proof. The vision is there. I know it's coming. It's just we're just holding it in storage. The vision's in storage.
So you don't have a plan for the first party yet, or when are you thinking of launching it?
Not yet, but I honestly, I think it's time. I think it's time to start planning.
Nice.
What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
mean, yeah, why not? Costa Mesa.
There you go. There you
um,
go.
the people know about Costa Mesa. Um,
Let them know. You gotta let them know.
um, yeah, and as I'm like listening through your catalog, I realized that it's your voice on a lot of your tracks, which
Yeah, probably 90%.
wow,
I
I always like that. I
feel
always
like I'm overdoing it.
like
I might
no,
be overdoing that, huh?
I'm always very impressed by it. But yeah, when did you first try out doing your own vocals on tracks?
Oh, yeah, that would be all the way back to when I was 16 years old, to be honest with you. When I was 16 years old, I was like heavy. I was rolling with some friends that were like kind of like they were listening to like gangster rap and like hip hop and whatnot. And so we were inspired by that kind of sound. And I immediately, once I got like an Apple laptop, I started playing with GarageBand. And then I would start downloading like hip hop instrumentals, and then I started writing raps to hip hop instrumentals when I was 16 and recording them. And I honestly got really good at it. And I'm so upset because I had this one that I recorded, and I lost it because the computer kind of fried. And I've to this day still furious and upset about it because it was just well, that would be so cool to be able to hear that because it was actually kind of good, and it was me 16. God, that would have been awesome to have. But yeah, that's technology for you.
So you didn't have a secret past life as a SoundCloud rapper?
No, I didn't, but I could
Yeah, I
have.
was like, I want to find those.
Honestly, I've been kind of ever since geeking. I've been kind of considering also doing like a side project where I go into R&B or whatever and try. Because I mean, writing lyrics comes quite. I mean, I can do it. You know, it takes time, but I mean, I can do it. I am kind of interested in. I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
I'm always a supporter of the side projects and the tangents, and I love hearing all that stuff.
Love
um,
it.
yeah, yeah. And so when you're writing lyrics or doing vocals, do you usually just kind of like freestyle, or do you and like see what works, or are you like sitting down and writing the lyrics? Like what's kind of your approach usually?
Usually, I'll freestyle until I have a cadence that I know works. Once I have the cadence and I know this is definitely gold, then I will sit and I will open up a notepad on my iPhone and start writing it down. And from there, it could take, I don't even know. It could, depending on how good it is, it could it could take a month. It could take even 2 months. I don't know. But yeah, definitely that would be my approach.
That's cool. Yeah, so your sound, is very much like groovy house. There's definitely some like Latin influence percussion, which just kind of had me thinking a lot, or just thinking about the Latin influence in house, because like I feel like it has always kind of been present, especially if we're thinking of like Louis Vega and Masters at Work and all that really dope shit. I mean, that he's still doing, but like back in the 90s. Um, and of course, there were also like congas and stuff in disco, which influenced house. So, like, I think it's always kind of been there, but maybe isn't always like talked about as like a big influence or whatever. But for you, to put it into a question, what do you sort of see as the influence of like Latin rhythms and percussion in house music?
I mean, you said it. You kind of answered the question right there, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, it's always been there. You're right. I mean, and on top of that, house music, even if you took out the bongos, house music still like if you take out all the Latin percussions, it's house music still sounds like a sexy Latin beat to me if done right because it's just so groovy, you
Mm.
know? And that's just what I feel like that, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think that it's probably because US wasn't on board with house music. So although it was born here in the underground here, it it took a flight across the pond to grow over there and worldwide around them. And then now since US is back, now I guess we're back at considering all where it came from and all that. But yeah, I think you have it very clear for sure.
And the second part of the question is like, how do you hope to see it sort of evolve like that, relationship, whether it be something that people talk about more or just like in the kind of sounds that we're hearing more in clubs in the underground, kind of in the current scene and sort of going forward.
It's interesting because I can see where it's gonna go in like I can see where it's gonna go in my own vision because that's where I'm going to take it.
Mm,
But where it's gonna go elsewhere, that's hard to say. But I'm sure it's gonna be in I don't know. I mean, look, what I've noticed is common thought process in today's house music scene is that basically people are kind of thinking about it like what can house music do for me, right? And
mm.
that's like a common thought that I'm seeing and just feeling from a lot of people and whatnot. But that's the wrong question. The right question is what can you do for house? You know what I mean? So there's going to be a lot of exploiters that are going to take it in a way of we're I don't know, all about turning into the selling of drinks rather than the art that we're going to see. I will not be participating in that world. I will go be taking it in the more authentic approach where we keep it straight to brass tacks. We go out to go and catch a vibe. We're going there to connect. We're going there to forget, get lost into a groove. That's all it is. We don't want to think. We want to move. That's my vision. That's where I'm choose to take it. And I can't. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to go there with me too.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, obviously like tech house is a whole thing, but I do feel like I've been hearing a little bit more of like the more percussive sound. Like I've like it's like there's I mean, and Jamie's kind of been doing it for a long time too. Like he's
Yeah.
really good at that percussive, like funky, super rhythmic stuff. But I feel like I am hearing like a little bit more of it now in different spaces, and like it's getting me excited because I'm just like continually I personally am waiting for Tech House to die so that we can like, something else will happen. So I'm always like, okay, what's it going to be next? And
Something
also what are the
groovy.
different threads that come from it that, producers who are also like, I don't want to make this music anymore. I want to do something interesting.
Well, that's why it's not going to take producers. It's going to take artists to kind of steer
Mm.
the ship. Like I said, visionaries. You have to have a vision. The visionaries, they'll take us where we need to go.
Do you have any like up and coming artists that either you've put out on your label or you've been going their shows or whatever that you feel like are in that visionary space, that you're really excited to see where
Big
they go?
time, big time. First cat, which he's underground, but he should be way bigger for sure. His name is Mene. You spell his name Mene. He's from Serbia. You should go check out some of his records because he's definitely on the money with that. And I just actually, right before we jumped on this meeting, or actually yesterday, I was searching for new music to start playing. And so I came across these two guys that I feel like I've heard of them before, but I never fully dived in. And I finally dove into their sound yesterday, and I can now definitely officially conclude these guys are going to be part of the new world of house for sure. One guy, I think he's from Rosario, Argentina, which I'm a big fan of Argentina, obviously. Um, his name is Nacho Scopa, I believe. And then I also discovered this other guy, and his name is Gustav. I don't know much about Gustav, but I'm pretty sure he's also Latino. And if you go and check out their records, yeah, they are so on the money when it comes to like what you'd want to hear for some high energy dance music and just some high energy feels, without a doubt. Um, yeah, so I definitely would go check those guys out because I'm currently enjoying playing their records.
Thank you. Always love the new tips, and I'm sure gray area readers agree. Okay. So in your bio, it mentions that like part of your, part of the way you make music is by making the grooves sound imperfect so that they don't sound like they're produced, so that they don't sound like it's made on a computer, but live
Yeah,
instrumentally. So, can you
yeah.
explain this process a little bit more and what sort of inspired you to take that approach?
I just hate that. I just never really was into like the records that sound overly digital and whatnot. And like what I mean by that is like overly perfect. Like you can
Yeah.
tell, like even the rhythms and all of it. It's just and like it's all kind of. It's almost like a straight line. It's so like there's just there. I just in those kinds of records. I just never. They just don't move me. And there's just no personality. There's no characteristics in a record like that. So what I don't think people recognize is that how important velocity is, which is only something that you'll be able to get when you're playing on a keyboard or recording a live instrument. It's velocity is like the level of how you're tapping your instrument, right?
Okay.
So if you're playing like a beat or a bass line on your actual keyboard, which you can do, I would hope that you're going in to edit the velocity later, because otherwise, then it just starts to sound a little bit too robotic and whatnot. So by playing it in, you're going to get a much more fluid. It's just you can. It's almost like air. Like the record just starts to. It's not even the mute. It's not even a song. It's just air blowing at you. I don't know. That's yeah. So that's why I do it. It's just that's just what my ears tell me I need to do.
I love that. And oh yeah, have you worked with or do you want to work with like live instrumentalists?
Oh, I'm literally waiting for the day. Honestly, oh God, that'll be that's what I'm saying. Like I'm only 30 now. I'm sure that by 40, I don't know. I'm assuming by 35 or 40, that's probably going to be the next step. Is make an amazing house record with live bands or some shit, and I'm just kind of conducting them, telling them, all right, give me more of this, give me more of that. That would be incredible. And you know what? I'm kind of down. I haven't thought much about it, but I think you just got me. You got me going. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm like, I know musicians are expensive. You gotta pay them, you gotta coordinate them, but that would be sick. Like, um, you know, you can't you can't quite replicate that. I mean, samples, sure, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's a
You probably can, but very few producers would be able to do that. That's really tough to fake that. You know.
and then you can do like a whole live show and like that. I anytime there's like live drums, I'm like, yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah, that reminds me when a long time ago when I was in Argentina, I was with my brother and my cousins wanted to show us a good time, and they took us to this like nightclub, um, and basically it was a nightclub like dedicated to this band that is from the area, and they were called Bomba del Tiempo, and it was like probably like 15 to 18 like African Americans and like Latinos all on stage, and they all have their own like percussion instrument, and you got one composer, and it's a nightclub, and they're literally playing what you would consider like this sounds like reggaeton house kind of. It sounds like it, kind of sounded like house just slowed down, and it was intense. It was live. It was crazy. And from then on, that was a huge inspiration to see when I was only like 20 or 19 when I saw that. I remember looking at my brother. We were like, "What the fuck is this?" And my cousins saw our faces. They're like, "Told you." That's crazy. Yeah, live instruments for sure. Live percussion, big time.
And yeah, like when I was like thinking about this question as well, it feels very directly related to some of the conversations that are happening now around AI and like either using AI to help you produce music or just having a full on AI produced song, as we've seen some of the like interesting examples that have popped up. But, again, like at the end of the day, AI produced song loses that organic touch. And also, we're assuming a lot of creativity, because we think we're a lot more creative than AI. We don't really fully know yet, but we hope so we can keep
Yeah,
our jobs as
that's
writers.
so true.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on AI and dance music, like given what we know now?
Very interesting. It's a very interesting. Yeah. It's. I can see all sides of the spectrum with that. Like, because I've also been shown like what the capabilities of AI are as well, and I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna use AI. There's no way the masses aren't gonna use AI to create more and better things. So it's for me, I'm like, do I reject it or do I take it on and kind of just to be able to like compete with
Mm.
whatever the other people are going to be bringing to the table. So it is tough because there is some really cool AI technology that allows you to do some stuff that I always thought about. What if you could do this, and now you can do it, which would be like you can grab a song and you can run it through this AI program, and it will give you the individual parts of the song, the bass, the drums, the vocals, and everything like that. So that alone already, I mean, that's almost too much power to give to a producer. That's unfair, it seems like, right? But while you're thinking it's unfair, someone's making something amazing with it, right? So that's why it's so confusing. It's a very confusing topic. I mean, I heard that even in Hollywood, like a lot of the actors are protesting, and they're not like they're kind of like shutting down Hollywood because of the fact that I hear like all the companies that they're signed to are saying you need to come in for an AI scan, and we're gonna exploit you via AI for the rest of eternity, and you're not gonna get any money for it. That's what I'm hearing is happening. So it is something confronting, and we both of us need to just stay tuned because it's going to probably get a little messy before it all gets more clear.
Yeah, I think that's quite accurate.
Yeah.
Um, could you describe your creative relationship with your brother Lucati?
Yeah, honestly, me and my brother have we both share the same DNA, right? So we both like the talent inside me is inside him as well.
Hmm.
It's just we with our personalities, it comes out in different ways, of course. So yeah, honestly, it's kind of it's definitely awesome to have a sibling that I'm so close with in the same field of work as me. Yeah, you'd think that we'd be working more together, but that's in the hands of agents and management teams. That is not in my hands nor in his. It's kind of like in the decision of like promoters and all that. Like all it's the politics need to put us. If you guys want to see us together, go to the politicians of house music to make it happen. But yeah, I would. In regards to working with Ruben, I think we've had a nice long break from working together. We've grown so much separately, so it's only natural to see what happens with what we've learned separately and go. Let's see what happens now. Mix it up, and if it works, beautiful. And if it doesn't, then what? All good. Back to the other way. No problem. You know.
And please correct me if I get the general details wrong, but he's the older brother, right?
Correct.
Okay. So he, like, your interest in making music kind of came from him, and he sort of started, but then he stopped making music, and you pursued music and DJing and all that stuff, and then he came back in. Is that kind of the dynamic? Like, you've both
Yeah.
inspired each other, basically.
Yeah, so that's what's beautiful, and I think everyone notices that. It's like me and Lucati have this competitive brother kind of thing going on, right? But if you make sure if both brothers keep themselves in check and grounded, then it turns out to be a healthy brother competition that only makes each other better. And if it's like that, yeah, right? And that's basically what it is, to be honest with you. We've grown a lot as people and whatnot, and our relationships never been better, you know? Um, yeah, like just to sum it up, me and Ruben are on a fucking hug and kiss basis when we see each other, just so everyone knows.
Love it. Yeah, and in what ways does he inspire you? And yeah, how do you kind of like support each other? Like, do you send each other demos? Like, or yeah, what's that dynamic kind of like?
So every once in a while, we'll send each other demos and whatnot. One thing that like we have in common is I mean, for the most part, we both share a similar interest for like sexy house music played at a fast tempo, like a tempo that makes you like after 30 minutes of dancing, you're sweating your ass off, but you're loving it. Like that, we both kind of are that's what we envision as a good time. So we definitely have that similar interests, and so we'll always share each other music that fits in that realm, and yeah, we always get each other excited about stuff and whatnot. Yeah, honestly, it's having a sibling in the same field of work and whatnot. It is yeah. It's I'm sure as you can imagine, it is actually quite a beautiful thing. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, when I realized that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. um, okay, do you like going back a bit? Do you have a memory of a song or a moment that you kind of fell in love or started falling in love with dance music?
Yeah. So I mean, it was probably around the age of 17 or 18, like probably around 17 years old. That's when my brother was already pushed going into like considering being a DJ and all that. And at the time, I was listening to like hip hop and whatnot. And then I from then on, my friends showed me like dubstep for the first time, and that was like old dubstep, like AC Slater, old school, like Casper and Rusko dubstep. And then from there, um, my brother started to show me. He showed me Dead Mouse for the first time, and he showed me all of like the beginning of Dead Mouse kind of stuff, like the Strobe, that record, all that stuff. Once I heard Dead Mouse, I think it was the tipping point where I was like, all right, I'm done with hip hop. I'm going into the electronic stuff because I was mind blown. So yeah, I'd say Dead Mouse changed it for me, believe it or not. And then from there, yeah, it's the rest is history.
Did you start going to like raves in SoCal around then, or like, yeah?
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't, yeah, no. I never once paid for a ticket to go to a rave. Um, I started, my brother at the time was going into, like, he was like starting to become quite established as like, like this new electro house duo from LA and getting a lot of support. So I was just kind of the young brother tagging along, young as shit, just getting all these free backstage passes. I didn't even know what I was getting thrown into, but obviously I loved it. And yeah, what can I say?
That's funny. You're VIP from the start.
I was VIP from the start.
We've made it to the last question. This has been fun and kind of flown by, even though I think it's been over an hour or about an hour. Yeah, so kind of a big one, but feel free to answer it however you want to. How has the journey to like where you are now in your career as a DJ and producer, like how has that journey felt for you?
This is how it felt. Like it was like this. I'll draw it out for you. It's like this on a graph. It goes like this, straight to the top. Then it starts to feel like this, and then now we're feeling like we're going back up to a top kind of a roll. But we will see. That's to be determined. No, but yeah. So I mean, look, when I first started, I literally got thrown into one of the biggest like festivals in house you could do at the time, which was Dirty Bird Barbecues, right? Like, and that was in Detroit. My first gig ever, and which was my first time ever DJing in front of people, was Dirty Bird Barbecue Detroit. I'm not sure if it was 17 or 16, probably 16. And yeah, and they paid me like 2K to go. I was just mind blown that they're offering me any money at all. So I got thrown right into like right into it, right? So that ride was it happened at a young age. So but I'm sure, as you can imagine, there was a lot of ego that I was battling at the time as well. And and that all was just I'm just so glad it's fucking that ego phase is so dead to me. I'm like I already had my ego death, like I'm so glad of it. The ego is a nightmare. But yeah, so like Yeah, the beginning was like I felt like in the beginning I was like, oh my god, I'm about to be blow up, and then it kind of like it never happened, and I felt like I was working so hard, and then it just kind of like was continuously just wouldn't happen, and
Mm.
obviously now we're at a turning point, but yeah, I noticed that what I was slacking before also was is that I just was horrendous at social media at the time, you know, and I still feel like I'm trying to grasp at the social media stuff, you know. But yeah, so that's how I'd be able to. I think I'm happy with how I've answered that.
Me too. You painted a nice picture, like.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And then, what are you hoping comes next?
I'm hoping that everything that's happening now continues and just continues to grow in a natural way. If you're asking where I envision myself in 5 years, I envision myself throwing parties on the coast of Chile somewhere, and in hopes to kind of curate a new, like just like a booming underground culture that like kind of like a new Ibiza, a new Tulum. I'm hoping to discover a new spot where we can all gather and vibe. You know what I mean?
Dope. Sounds fun. Thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. Hope it was for you too.
Definitely, definitely fun. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye.
Bye.